I was going to say, you mentioned that Etsy's a really easy platform to get on and start selling on. I think the reason they give so much weight to freshly renewed listings and whatnot is because it's a way of distinguishing who is really committed here and who is not. And what they do is they put a little bit of money on it. I mean, like you said, 20 cents is not a lot. You know what I mean? It can add up, but it's not a lot. But you would be surprised how many people are just so vehemently opposed to spending that 20%.
Yeah.
And you know what? If it's between being way over here at the bottom where no one's going to see me, and spending 20 cents and popping up to the top where I can actually be purchased, you know, because here's the thing that people aren't realizing: that placement where you might have to, you know, renew your way to stay at the top for a while. Once you start to get some sales momentum, you'll stay there. Every time you sell, it automatically renews, first of all. But secondly, and we've heard this from several shops, that once a listing is doing well, you can go from ranking really well on a less competitive keyword to, I like to equate it to like sports leagues, right? You can start at Little League and you make your way up to the big leagues, to the Major League Baseball. Well, once that listing starts getting more momentum, you can rank for just about anything.
Yeah.
Because you have a proven track record. And that's the other thing I like to kind of equate it to. If you let's say you're going to see a customer and you can only pitch them 5 items, but you have 100 items in your car, what 5 items are you going to choose? You're going to choose the 5 that you think are most likely to sell. Well, how do you know? Well, because I'm going to pick the ones that people keep buying. I'm going to pick the 5 that people keep buying. Because, you know, if that's what your livelihood is, you're selling these things, and that's what Etsy's doing. And they've mentioned this too. So this isn't, you know, just purely things we've observed. This is things that we've observed, heard from shops, and then also Etsy admins have talked about how this works. But basically, they're trying to sell the things that are most likely to sell. We're presenting the things that are most likely to sell, because you got a couple of things going on with Etsy, right? They're sitting right there in the man in the middle. Etsy is essentially the salesperson here, because they're not making the product and they're not the buyer, but they're facilitating it. So buyer shows up, they do a search, and that's the equivalent of like saying to the salesperson, hey, I'm looking for a 4-door sedan. Okay, hey, we've got some of these, but I can only show you 2 cars. So what 2 4-door sedans am I actually going to sell you? Let's see, the last person that came in that, you know, was looking for that. Just clicking around. People have really been interested in this one right here and this one right here. So let's go show you those. Let's test drive those. Now, what ends up happening, if a listing gets ranked for a while and it's not getting clicks, so sometimes people will say that too. Sometimes people will say, hey, I'm on this page, I'm ranked, but I'm not getting the views I'm expecting. And if you go and look at that page, you'll see that their image, their cover photo, is not as engaging as the other ones. It's not standing out. It's not really popping off the screen. It's not really, you know, screaming, click me. And if people aren't clicking it, Etsy will remove it because, well, you know, you've been in retail before. If something is taking, you know, prime real estate on your shelf and people aren't touching it, it goes to the back of the store.
It goes to the markdown bin.
Right? It goes to the markdown bin. So there's other factors at play. Okay. All this stuff is really important because you have to, if you don't do the SEO fundamentals, then you won't even be considered, right? You won't even be considered of, okay, what's likely to sell here? And if you don't pick a good keyword, then you're going to be at the part of the store that no one ever walks over to. So you have to decide like where you're going to go, but then you really have to, you know, put a good foot forward as far as performance, because people have to click it. And then even if you get a bunch of views, but no one ever buys it, there will be some point where Etsy's like, okay, it's been ranked, it's been clicked. People still aren't buying, something else is going on. You know, they get paid when you get paid. So again, it ends up moving back. And that's why we put, you know, SEO is so important. That's why we put photos are so important, and descriptions. Because if you don't have all of those and you're not actually moving the product, well, then Etsy has to move you to something less competitive.